Hello and welcome to Short Story Scene. I'm your host, the storyteller, and here we have a tale called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Chapter 9, The Army on the March. 1. Sun Tzu said, "We come now to question of the encamping the army and observing signs of the enemy. Pass quickly over the mountains to keep in the neighborhood of valleys. 2. Camp in high places facing the sun. Do not climb heights in order to fight. So much for mountain warfare. 3. After crossing a river, you should get far away from it. 4. When an invading force crosses a river, it is onward march. Do not advance to meet it in the midstream. It will be best if let half the army get across, then deliver your attack. 5. If you are anxious to fight, you should not go and meet the invader near a river, which he has to cross. 6. Moor your craft higher on than the enemy and facing the sun. Do not move upstream to meet the enemy, so much for river warfare. 7. In crossing salt marshes, your sole concern should be to get over them quickly without any delay. 8. If forced to fight in salt marsh, you should have water and grass near you and get your back to a clump of trees. So much for the operations in the salt marshes. 9. In dry, level country, take up an easily accessible position with rising ground on your right and on your rear, so that the danger may be in front and the safety lie behind. So much for campaigning in flat country. 10. These are the 4 useful branches of military knowledge which enabled the Yellow Emperor to vanquish 4 several sovereigns. 11. All armies prefer high ground and low and sunny places to dark. 12. If you are carefully of your men and your camp had hard ground, the enemy will be free from disease and every kind, and this will spell victory. 13. When you come to a hill or a bank, accompany the sunny side with the slope of your right near. Thus you will at once act on the benefit of your soldiers and utilize the natural advantages of the ground. 14. When in consequence of heavy rains up country, a river which you wish to ford is swollen and flecked with foam, you must wait until it subsides. 15. Country in which were the precipitous cliffs with the torrents running between, deep natural hollows, confined places, tangled thickets, quagmires, and crevices, which be left with all possible speed and not approached. 16. While we keep away from such places, we should get an enemy to approach them. While we face them, we should let the enemy have them on in his rear. 17. If a neighborhood of your camp, there should be a hilly country, ponds surrounded by aquatic grasses, hollow basins filled with reeds, or woods with thick undergrowth. They may be carefully rooted out and searched, for these are places where men in ambush and insidious spies are likely to be lurking. 18. When the enemy is close at hand and remains quiet, he is relying on the natural strength of his position. 19. When he keeps aloof and then tries to provoke a battle, he is anxious for the other side to advance. 20. If his place is encamped so easily to access, he is tendering a bait. 21. A movement against the trees of a forest shows that the enemy is advancing. The appearance of a number of screens in the midst of this thick grass means that the enemy wants to make us suspicious. 22. The rising of birds in their flight is the sign of ambuscade, and startled beasts indicate that the sudden attack is coming. 23. When there is dust rising in the high column, it is a sign of chariots advancing. When the dust is low but spread over a wide area, it betokens the approachment of infantry. When it branches out in different directions, it shows parties that have been sent to collect firewood. A few clouds of dust moving to and fro signify that the army is encamping. 24. Humble words and increased preparations are signs that the enemy is about to advance. Violent language and driving forward as if the attack are signs that he will retreat. 25. When the light chariots come out first and take up position on wings, it is a sign that the enemy is forming for battle. 26. Peace proposals unaccompanied by a sworn covenant indicate a plot. 27. When there is much running about the soldiers fall into rank, it seems that the critical moment has come. 28. When some are seen advancing, some retreating, it is a lure. 29. When the soldiers are standing leaning on their spears, they are faint from want of food. 30. If those who are sent to draw water begin by drinking themselves, the army is suffering from thirst. 31. If the enemy sees an advantage to the gaining and makes no effort to secure it, the soldiers are exhausted. 32. If birds gather on any spot, it is unaccompanied. Clamor by night betokens nervousness. 33. If there is a disturbance in the camp and the general's authority is weak, if the banners and flags are shifted about, sedition is afoot, and then the officers are angry, it means that the men are weary. 34. When the army feeds its horses with grain and kills its cattle for food, and when the men do not hang their cooking pots over the campfires, showing that they will not return to their tents, you may know that they are determined to fight to the death. 35. The sight of the men whispering together in small knots or speaking in subtle tones points of disaffection amongst the rank and file. 36. Too frequent rewards signify that the enemy is at the end of his resources. Too many punishments betraying conditions of dire distress. 37. To begin by bluster, by afterwards to take fight at the enemy's numbers shows a supreme lack of intelligence. 38. When the envoys are sent with compliments in their mouths and the sign that the enemy wishes for a truce. 39. If the enemy's troops march up angrily and remain facing ours for a long time without either joining battle or taking themselves off again, the situation is one that demands great vigilance and circumspect suspicion. 40. If our troops are no more in number than the enemy, that is ample sufficient, it only means that no direct attack can be made. What we can do is simply to concentrate all our available strength, keep them close, watch on the enemy, and obtain reinforcements. 41. He who exercises no forethought but makes light of his opponents is sure to be captured by them. 42. If soldiers are punished before they have grown attached to you, they will not prove submissive, and unless submissive, they will be particularly useless. If when the soldier have become attached to you, the punishments are not enforced, they will be useless. 43. Therefore, soldiers must be treated in the first instance with humanity, but keep under control by the means of iron discipline. This is a certain road to victory. 44. If training soldiers commands any habitual enforced, the army will be well disciplined. If not, its discipline will be bad. 45. If the general shows confidence in their men, but always insists on his orders being obeyed, the gain will be mutual. And that concludes our tale of The Art of War by Sun Tzu, Chapter 9. If you like this content and would like to support it, please head to Patreon. That is www.patreon.com/shortstoryscene. And thank you, Drake, for being a patron. And thank you all for listening. See you next episode. Bye.